Okay, so Mark, it was your first time seeing it, so
Yes.
let's we can start there, like with what you thought.
Okay, well, I'll just kind of, I won't go too many specifics, but I thought it was incredible. I uh, I thought it was very well paced. I never got lost. Like I knew like the sequence of events like happened like so like I guess seamlessly that like I've never really like I don't want to say I haven't seen before, but it was like it's definitely like one of the much better paced movies that I've ever seen. And so like whenever and there was always like there was always like an action was done and then a consequence, then an action, then a consequence, then an action, then a consequence. So like I never got like lost like through like wait a minute like what's going on, like oh we're back here now, what's going on here.
Yeah, it never really
Like
lulls. It doesn't lull
no,
ever.
No,
there
it
was
doesn't.
always like even like in the downtime moments, like when there wasn't bugs exploding or a bunch of fighting going on or shooting or whatever, like even like those like moments were like tense,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like the family scene for instance, that was like one of the, as tense as that moment was, it was like definitely like one of the lighter moments of the film.
Hmm.
But that was pretty good. The it was let's see, it was an 80s movie, but it was an 89. I have to look back at the date. Was it 1989?
97.
Oh no, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm so sorry.
No,
Okay,
no,
I was
it's
gonna like
okay. It's okay.
like I'm still
Whatever.
gonna I'm still gonna praise the animation because it
Hmm.
looked so
Well,
good.
yeah, we're talking about a movie that came out 2 years before episode one, The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And arguably, like, the battle scenes, which I realize they incorporate live action, and where I'm going with is like the Naboo fight between the droids and the Gungans and
Hmm.
how terrible that looks now,
Oh, I
which
mean,
is all CG. So
Lifeless.
there's that. But man, yeah, you're right. The incorporation is pretty good. Holds up
yeah,
pretty
and
well.
like, and I've seen Phantom Menace a couple times to like know exactly like a good moments where like CG was involved, and I honestly can say that the CG in Starship Troopers was way better than the CG in Phantom Menace for
Or
sure.
like, or even like Attack of the Clones, really. Like
That's even
everything
more.
really,
Yeah.
really holds up. I wonder if like Verhoeven's ever talked about like his use of like CG and practical
Hmm.
effects and just like how seamless it really feels in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
I mean there's some stuff
Well, yeah,
where go ahead.
he blends the two together. I mean, it's not just CG, it's all of the effects. I mean, he uses it
Hmm.
all so well.
Yeah.
He uses models, he has the matte paintings. I think they built a couple of like, I don't know if they built puppets or parts for some of the aliens that they had. I don't know if they did or not.
Oh
Certainly
sure,
not when they're like moving around
absolutely.
attacking.
They
But like
Oh
absolutely
when their
yeah,
did.
for
bodies on the
sure.
ground or they're examining him, I think there are. So, but he
Or
doesn't.
especially
It all
like
looks very,
especially the brain bug, like that's clearly like a puppet
yeah,
like in
Hmm.
different
yeah. There's
portions.
puppeteering in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like the part where like he's opening up like the bug in the science room, he's just
Yeah.
pulling out like all these guts, and the
Yeah.
Yeah,
girl's
all the
like,
organs.
"Oh my gosh!"
That's great. I
It's
love that
also
part.
Yeah,
slimy.
yeah. He's just like, "Hold this." She's just like, "Okay."
He
Yeah.
pukes inside of it because it's so
Yeah,
disgusting.
Yeah,
yeah.
there's like some stuff that doesn't look very good. Like I noticed it because this is like my fifth time watching the movie, but this is the
Hmm.
first time I
Sure.
noticed the burial scene where they shoot Des out into space, kind of like in Star Trek fashion,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like, there's like portions where they're showing like the crewmates' reflections on the ship windows, like looking
Oh
out. So
really?
it's like
Okay.
showing their reflections. It looks so bad. Like it clearly is like it cuts off at one point. Like so there's just like them, and then
Oh,
there's like a black space, and then like the border of the window. It looks so
I
bad.
I didn't notice that, but I remember
Oh
Like
talking
an
yeah,
about.
interposed
Okay.
it
screen,
looks
basically.
so bad. I was like, oh my
Hmm.
That's funny. I didn't
god.
notice it.
Yeah, there was that, and then there's like the scene. It's when they really try to like blend. It's when the room is really well lit. Well, I don't want to say that always, but specifically the scene where they bring in the brain bug and there's like all the alien, like all the bugs scurrying around
Yeah.
Yes.
the pilot and Ibanez
Carmen?
Carmen when they're
Mm.
on the ground and like the
Mhm.
bugs are scurrying around them. It's like that looks bad. But I mean,
Yeah. No, it did.
nitpicking aside, overall, I'd
Right.
say it like yeah, it holds up. It looks
Like
pretty
all
damn
the
good.
all the space scenes looked pretty darn good.
Hmm.
Like where the aliens are like firing up at the ships,
Yeah.
and like one of them like breaks in half. I was like, that looks like 2010, like 2000,
Yeah.
like 2010 levels of animation right
Yeah, and
there.
like what
Yeah.
Matthew was saying, that's definitely like an incorporation of like definitely there was clearly models used for the
Mm-hmm.
ships in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. Not all
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
of them, but definitely a good portion of the ship stuff. What I
Mm.
like
Mm-hmm.
about the ships, since we're just bouncing around at this point, um, what I like about the ships specifically, like where the they get to Clendathu and the ships are just getting blown apart by the bug artillery.
Mm-hmm.
I like how we get to see like the aftermath of that, of them like pulling into the space station.
Yes, and they're all burning. Oh,
Is it my chair? Okay. So it was my chair making that noise. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
I'm
that's all
gonna
right.
stop shaking it around.
Um, and like we get to see like all the like the busted up ships pull back into the shipyard. Like that's cool. Like seeing like
Yeah. Oh my
like
gosh.
the
Yeah.
aftermath of like them getting like their butts kicks. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's like something like that idea, at least like the aftermath of a space battle, something we could see in
Mm-hmm.
like a Star Wars movie or something. Like that would be cool. Like to
yeah.
see like
Mm-hmm.
these wrecked ships pulling back into a space station to get repairs. Like
Yeah.
we never really see anything that, I mean, aside from like the Millennium Falcon after it gets beat up pulling into
Sure.
somewhere, but
But
like an
but not an
actual,
entire
yeah,
not an
yeah,
entire
and that was
fleet.
like really cool, like to see
No.
that. Like that
Yeah.
just seems like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like the
Well, kind of.
ramifications of like how bad this entire like assault was.
yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
before we talk about the assault, let's kind of trail back to
yeah,
kind of the beginning of the movie and the story itself, which
Okay.
is
Yeah.
in this hyper militaristic
Mm-hmm.
authoritarian, basically fascist kind of human society.
right,
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the they were already aware of the aliens. They were kind of experimenting on them, and they were kind of worried about expansion. And then um, Rico's character, I love the way the movie starts with him in the classroom. And lecture is basically telling everybody about how amazing violence is and how it basically
Mm-hmm.
solves all of their problems.
yeah, like everything
Mm-hmm.
trickles down from violence, basically, like
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it's
violence is like this
all,
penultimate decider.
yeah, and it's all kind of like uh, surrounding the characters themselves, kind of like the protagonist. But in a way, that's kind of what you pick up on, you notice, and you're just like, wait a minute, this world is kind of messed up.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
they established a lot there. I like how they just immediately like frame Carmen as like this like disassociated sociopath, because
Yes.
like the Diz goes like, my mother says that violence should never be the option, like, or something like violence is never the answer.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like he goes on to some spiel about Hiroshima, and then Carmen goes, well, we can't ask the survivors of Hiroshima because they were all destroyed. And he's like, right answer. And it's just like, and then like Rico's like, yeah, that's my girl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally all for the Hiroshima bombing. Like, what the
Gung
fuck?
Yeah.
ho
Like,
Like,
murder.
I know,
all
like
right, guys.
right from the get go, and she like looks back at me and she's like, like I
It's like
like
it's all
that.
cutesy.
Yeah, like what the fuck? But
Yeah.
So bizarre.
yeah, yeah, it's very interesting that what they do there, and
Yeah, the entire kind of build up to that is, none of the characters outside of maybe like Rico, but none of the and of course the teacher, the lieutenant. What's his name again? The character?
Right. Rag check.
Yeah, I
you
think
mean
that's it.
the teacher or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rag
Just
check.
call him
Yeah.
Michael Ironsides or
Michael
whatever.
Irons. Yeah. Well, those two. Um, I like those two a lot. Just again, none of the characters are like super depthful or really
Mhm.
anything like that. Not
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
Um,
no, for
but
sure.
but it all works because it's all kind of in service of this story. It's almost like two movies in a way, because the first half of the movie is like the stuff at the school and the prom, and then kind of the military training, the boot camp stuff. And then the
Yeah.
second half of the movie, like to the mark almost, is
Yeah.
the war itself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Kind of like Full Metal Jacket in that regard. Like Full Metal
Yeah.
Jacket, the first half is the boot camp, second
Mhm.
half is the war, and when you
Yeah.
make that transition, it does feel like it's a brand new movie.
Yeah, and I
Mhm.
like that. I like that the
Mhm.
kind of this changing of the almost the tone almost, because there's a lot of dark stuff that happens, a lot of
Yeah,
depressing stuff that happens. Surprisingly,
yeah. I like when he's like describing like we get a very brief explanation of why violence is like central, but like he makes the point, the teacher does, Michael Ironside's character makes the point of saying like the social scientists pushed us to the brink of destruction, and
the Democrats.
thankfully the military stepped in, and it's like,
Yeah,
well, what it's like you got to wonder like what social scientists mean. It was probably somebody who was like, well, we should try to like understand, but you know, there's like this part that's like the social scientists, I'm guessing in this sense was referring to aliens, because overall it seems like the world for the most part is like united. Like
yeah, I want to talk about that.
there's clearly, yeah, and we can just go into that from, I guess I could just segue us in there, but like there's clearly like no sexism for the most part. There's a little bit here there, like there's still like archetypal
Yeah,
like masculine feminine roles taking place, but there it clearly is progress. Like Diz is the captain of the quarterback team, you
yeah,
know.
lots of diversity in the
Yeah.
soldiers.
Oh,
That's for sure.
yeah. Like
Mhm.
Yeah,
the scene where it opens up and it's them all swearing in. They're like, it is so diverse, you know.
yep,
And I think
Yeah,
of
you
like
got like
other movies where it
Hispanics,
would just be like
Asians.
a wall of white faces, you know.
Yeah.
So like
yeah,
it's interesting that they do that, and or like the shower scene where like the guys and the girls are all showering together, and it's very
Mhm.
like natural. Like
No one's having an
like
issue, you know.
like I've been in boot camp, and like when we were showering together with all the guys in the public bathroom, nobody talked to each other, and so like to see a scene where like girls and guys are talking to each other, you
the
know.
casual
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah,
What are we
so
gonna do when we get our citizenship?
but anyway, going back to
Yeah.
the point I was trying to make with the social scientists, it's like, so who are, maybe we're maybe this society, this militaristic government run world organization has been around for a while, and
Yeah,
maybe like
Yeah, that's another thing is that is that I don't know like how they don't really tell us how far into the future this is, but it's clearly
no,
the future.
sure.
So like you and there's clearly like the whole like that form of like equality amongst everyone. How like obviously like we're slowly progressing as a society now, and then like in the future there will be that point where where men and women can shower together, and there's not going to be any issues with that. And then it's like in the future, like I don't know if we're going to get more militarized, but yeah, it does like where was I leading with this? It does like end up like, okay, well, is this where we're going to be in the future? Like we are going to need to be more militarized because we're fighting species that are beyond our understanding. At first, like we know like
Yeah.
they can like really kill us, and so everyone on Earth is cool with each other,
Right.
and
It's
we
like
yeah,
it's like Watchmen.
we
At the
found
end
that
of,
out.
like in the end of
Exactly.
Watchmen,
that's
like
a good point.
we think there's like an alien threat,
Right.
and so
Yes,
the world is united. And
yeah,
So the only way we can come together is to like think, okay, bigger and better guns to fight off against aliens that we can to colonize other
the
planets.
asteroid belts,
right,
where all
Exactly.
the aliens
Yes.
a
live.
common enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing.
Humans are gonna dominate the solar system, not
Yeah,
bugs.
yeah.
Yeah.
One thing, in order to make like a comparison for that, because I was reminded a lot, because a lot of people, one of the funnier things about this movie is a lot of people compare it to Warhammer 40,000 and the Imperium of
Yeah.
Man.
I
It's
can
kind of funny, but
Yeah.
I think
definitely.
a better comparison for them would probably be like the UNSC from Halo, because it's like super militaristic government,
Mhm.
where we have to fight the aliens, we have to kill the aliens, and obviously Halo's different. Not saying it's the same, but it
Right.
kind of feels like a blend of those two in a way. So,
Yeah.
which is kind of
I mean
interesting.
the imagery, like the NSC looks like
Yes, it
the
does.
Galactic Federation or whatever
It
they're called,
does.
the
Yeah.
Federation. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's similar. There, it's definitely similar.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading the Halo books, and I don't remember paying very much attention to like the political state of the UNSC.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was definitely some xenophobia that existed there. But I think the Covenant attacked first.
Yes,
Which
they did.
technically, I mean, the bugs do attack
They launched
first
an asteroid.
in
Mhm.
Starship Troopers, but like as we like learn that, and then like the news reporter tells us that
The radical Mormons.
Mormon extremists.
Yeah, I saw that. I was
What?
like, what?
Like that seems like that sounds like an oxymoron. It's like
I
what?
know.
Mormon extremists. It's like
Radical Mormons.
what
What?
made them want? Why did they put that in there? But it's funny.
I don't know.
But
It's such a small detail, but it's so
yeah,
funny.
so I guess they encroached where like the bugs had already made a colony, and then the
Yeah.
bugs took it as an act of war. So they
Mhm.
started shooting asteroids at our planet from like
Mhm.
across the galaxy on the other side of the
Mhm.
solar system. So
Mhm.
Yeah, they have that map up, and it kind of shows the two
yeah,
locations.
but I don't remember the relation in between Halo or between the UNSC and the Covenant. Like the Covenant, I know they attack Reach, and that's like the start of the Halo Master Chief story. But
Yeah.
outside of that, I know nothing. But
Yeah, I think they
Mm.
were more. The UNSC was kind of like a pseudo empire in a way, kind of like expanding. And one thing that I find interesting is because what kind of helps the UNSC, because at that before the war began, I think they had like a whole rebellion going on within the UNSC's planets within like
Yeah.
their planetary system, and
like
because
humans against humans.
yeah, because a
Mhm.
lot of the planets they colonized wanted independence from
Mhm.
Earth and from the UNSC itself.
Mhm.
So, but once the war with the Covenant began, almost all of that ended immediately
Well,
because
and
it's like,
they kind of hint on a similar status in Starship Troopers because they talk about fighting against human enemies. Like, you know,
Mhm.
when they're trying to learn how to use the knives, he goes, your enemy can't shoot a gun if he can't use his hands.
If you can't use,
So
yeah, you can't use
something
him,
like
yeah.
that. So maybe it's also going on too, but anyway. I mean, but yeah, no, definitely similar. I've always kind of thought of it as
Mhm.
Warhammer 40K because it's
Mhm.
just all
sure,
about
yeah, of course.
because Warhammer 40K is clearly like this fascist future and for
Mhm.
humans, and you know that's
Mhm.
that's definitely the same for the Federation and Starship Troopers.
Fascist theocracy is the best way to describe Warhammer 40,000.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, because of the Emperor, of course. But um,
Yeah.
some trivia for uh the boot camp scene. Did you the drill camp or the drill sergeant who
Yes.
shows up later at the end of the movie as a private, and he's supposed
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
like off screen
He
captured
captures the brain,
brain
yeah, the
bug,
bug.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
kind of funny. I wonder if that's like, well, anyway, we'll get to that. But do you guys recognize who that is or the voice?
It sounded so familiar, but I cannot.
Okay, so it's Clancy Brown who would later go on to voice Mr. Krabs.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And
That's amazing.
which 2 years later, like because SpongeBob came
Oh
out like
my
in
gosh.
'99, I think.
I did not
that's-
notice. I did
that's
not
pretty-
know that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and he was
Yeah.
on an episode of The Mandalorian. He played the big red guy prisoner. Remember when they break out, or was he red?
Oh, okay.
He had the
Really?
horns in the prison breakout episode.
Yes.
That's Clancy Brown.
Yes.
He's a
Mm.
big guy. I mean,
Yes.
he's
Okay.
huge.
I didn't know that.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was
Um,
funny.
One
The,
thing trivia that I didn't notice, kind of also in the boot camp scene, was the major is Hank Schrader from Breaking
Mhm.
Bad.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yes.
I was like, hey, it's
I,
Hank.
I wrote that down. The moment I saw it, I'm like, oh, it's
Yeah,
Hank.
I guess he just has
Yeah.
that one scene.
Well,
It's almost like
No,
he's-
he's in multiple scenes.
I think he's just that.
he's like
well,
in the
he's in that one spot, like, but he's
Oh, right.
like
Yeah.
we don't see him
Yeah.
fighting bugs or anything like that.
No, he doesn't
not
do
in the
anything
war
else.
now.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
weird. It's almost like he's like the stand-in Michael Ironside's character while they're at boot camp because they I guess,
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
Michael Ironside's
came-
later as the lieutenant.
He came off that way. I was like, I feel like they were supposed to put Michael Ironside
I know,
here, but
yeah,
it's good with him.
Yeah,
I was, it was
like
cool. It was
bald-
cool seeing Hank.
Two bald guys with well, I guess he's not. Is he missing appendages? I don't even remember if Hank's Schrader or if Dean Norris.
I don't think he
missing.
is. A lot of the characters
No.
are.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, the guy who like enlists Rico for the first time. He's like, you're gonna love my position, or you're gonna love it here. And then like he scoots back and his legs are gone.
Yeah, he's like, mobile infantry made me the man I am today. And
Yes, that's it.
half a man.
completely like amputated.
He's got like one arm left. He
I
doesn't
like
want
it
the
because
cyborg
because
arm.
like Rico sees the arm first, he's like, oh, and then like the guy
Yeah.
backs up and his legs are missing too.
The
It's
legs are gone.
like, oh, his legs
Oh
are gone.
God.
Legs are gone too.
Yeah, dude.
They-
I love this movie. Like, was so corny, and I loved it so much. Like
Yeah, there's a lot
with
of cheese.
There's a
yeah,
lot of cheese. It's
yeah.
cheesy at times. Like
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It is so cheesy, but I loved it. Like I loved all of it. Honestly, I would say it got me more immersed into the movie as corny as it, with the corniness.
yeah, there's like there's specific moment, and the comparison has been made before. Like they cast like pretty actors and actresses, and the social conversations, the conversations between these basically pretty boy teen actors, they
Right.
kind of play out like something from like Dr. 90210 or the OC or Vampire Diaries or something.
Mhm.
But I love like the scene when they're on the ship and Rico meets up with like Carmen for the first time,
Mhm.
and the song "Fade Into You" is playing by Mazzy Star, which is a good song, but
Mhm.
it's like this like acoustic like soft song that you would hear in like an episode of like Smallville or the
Yeah.
OC,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like while they're on the space station, and like the music, like when Xander starts to fight Rico, or when Rico sucker punches Xander.
Yeah.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
says rank is not an issue here, and then
He
Yeah.
immediately
right
punches
as
him.
Rico punches him,
Decks
and
him.
like the Mazzy Star song like swells. It's like and it's like, and it's like a scene from like the OC or something, where like the girl would be like, "Stop it, guys! Stop
Yeah, yeah,
fighting!"
yeah.
And then like we'd like roll the credits afterwards, and it'd just be like, it's so dumb and cheesy and it's so
But
out
it's
of
so
place,
good.
but it works. It genuinely
yeah.
works.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
also makes because the cheesiness scenes and kind of like the almost like quirky high school element of and like the high school kind of quirkiness of it almost. It
Mhm.
kind of contrasts heavily with the really sad death scenes and kind of like brutal violence that happens in
Yeah.
the movie.
Mhm.
Like watching watching Diz die is like upsetting. Like
Yeah, it is.
I don't like
Yeah,
watching her
that
die.
no,
I
that
did not like that.
sucks.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
really sucks.
and the lieutenant when he gets like the sand trap gets him and they pull him
Yeah,
out.
he's like,
His
you know what to
legs are
do.
gone. Yeah, he's like,
He
you know
tells
what to
Rico like, you know
do,
what to do, and he
Rico.
shoots
And he
This is
him.
what I
shoots
Yeah.
live
him.
for, is to be shot by a fellow
My own
soldier.
team.
Like, okay.
Yeah. Oh, by the
Yeah.
way, speaking of the way he shoots him, the assault rifles that they have, I really like the detail when he's the first time we see it is when Rico's trying to survive. He's on the ground. He's been stabbed in the leg. It's the first battle, and they're kind of like they've clearly lost and they're retreating. And Rico,
Like the first 3 minutes, they're
yes,
they order
they're
a
already being
retreat.
massacred.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he takes his assault rifle and he kind of switches the mode. He turns it into a shotgun, like with these loud
Oh,
bursts.
yeah.
There's
Okay.
this fire
I
at
thought
the
that
end.
was
I'm like, oh, that's a cool detail.
See, I thought that
Yeah.
was an extra gun. I thought it was another gun. Like
No,
I didn't realize it was the
It's
same
got like a
gun.
different setting. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Okay.
completely missed that.
Yeah, which it makes sense because he's on the ground and these things are close to him now, so he just starts, blowing into them.
Yeah, there's like there's so much, like once you start to like realize that there is like a satirical element to it, just like there is in RoboCop.
Yeah.
Or
Mhm.
and you kind of like start to wonder like what you kind of wonder about the decisions the director would make.
Mhm.
Like there's a scene like when they first land on Clendathu and it's at nighttime, and they're all just like gung ho. They just want to go like shoot up bugs.
There's like hundreds of them exiting
Yeah,
the
well, but
transports.
yeah, but there's like they run like they lose their commander, or somebody dies, and then like there's like a standoff between the bugs and like Rico and his buddies and the rest of the trooper, the MIs.
Mhm.
They're like staring at each other, and then like Diz is like, Rico, what are we doing? And Rico goes, we're gonna kill every last one of them. And they just start
Yes.
shooting, but like the bugs weren't attacking, and it's like, what, like, you know what I mean? Like, and clearly we learn later that there's like
Mhm.
there's an intelligence to them, and
Mhm.
so it's
Mhm.
like, were the bugs like kind of like hesitant, like what are they gonna do, you know? Because they're clearly just not like mindless, super aggressive bugs. But and
Yeah.
so now here we are painting Rico as like this trigger happy. We gotta fuck him up. We gotta kill the bugs, you
Mhm.
know. So, but anyway, long story short, like that stuff like that makes you wonder, like, is that like showing? Is that kind of feeding into that narrative that this is just like a militaristic and like this dehumanizing of these characters?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, primarily we
Mhm.
see it with Rico, like that's the biggest
Yes.
one, and we see that progress. But
Yeah. He
Yeah,
becomes
and
more and more jaded, certainly throughout the
oh
movie. Certainly
yeah,
by the
just
end, when
completely.
yeah, where he even with Carmen, he's like, no, you know she's already dead. Which, to be fair, they did hear over the radio when they're trying to send a rescue team, and Rico's just like, you know, no, we're not going to send the rescue team. She's probably already dead.
Yeah, and
You can
then
just tell how
Mhm.
like jaded and deflated he is.
but
He's
then in
like,
the next scene, he's like, "We should go," and
yeah,
Yeah.
but then you find out it's because Neil
the
Patrick
telepath.
Harris like basically hypnotized him into like going. And that's like,
Yeah.
and which cool because that's a little bit of setup and payoff.
Yeah.
Rico
Yeah.
in their meeting, he's asking him, he's like, or when he's doing the test with the cards, he
Yeah.
goes,
Yes.
and he sees him use the telepathy on his ferret, and then he
Yes.
says, "You're never gonna do that on me." He goes, "Well, it doesn't work on humans."
Yet.
Yet. And it's
Mhm.
like, so
Yeah.
you get that setup and payoff because here he is doing it to Rico. And like Rico is like totally, I mean, I get it. I guess he got to save Carmen, but it's still like kind of fucked up that
It
the
is.
only reason Clark is his name
Yeah,
Clark?
Yes,
Clark.
Clark.
Yeah.
Clark did it to Rico was to get to the brain bug, you know,
Right.
basically. Because he's
Right.
like,
Hmm.
because that's where Carmen was. She was with the brain bug.
Mhm.
So it's just interesting.
I didn't think it was him hypnotizing him, although that might be the case.
Or
Like when
at least influencing him.
yeah, at first I was like, what the heck? How like it can't be like, oh, I have a feeling kind of thing. But no, it was like, yeah, that was the payoff. I
Yeah,
thought it
no,
was
yeah.
Telepathic
more like, I
communication.
thought it was like Clark at least telling him like, hey, you need to go this way because that's where Carmen is and she's alive and that's where the
No,
brain bug is and all
yeah,
this kind of
Sure.
stuff.
sure,
Yeah.
yeah. But I just like how it goes from that whole like you would never do that to me to he's doing it, but he's doing
Yeah.
it to further their
Their
military
cause.
advantage. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
just kind of
Hmm.
interesting how everything is for the dominating the enemy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and like when they first release or not when they release, but when they let oh, who was the girl? I'm sorry, who's the girl who died and they sent her off to space? What was her name?
Diz?
Diz.
Diz, yeah.
Yeah. The
And
robot.
Rico was like, he's being all formal and stuff as he should be, and saying like this is like for the he's like she died for like the good of the human species or something like that. That's very militaristic. And then a
Oh
couple
yeah,
minutes later,
for the greater good.
Clark comes in and is like, "You're gonna have to catch the brain bug. You have to go like because like Rico's like I don't want to go back. Like he's not like I don't want to go back there, but he's like anyone who's insane would want to go back there. And the
Hmm.
guys and Clark's saying like you're ordered to go back there because
Hmm.
you have to catch the bug for the human species. It's like it keeps like reiterating that point to like
Yeah.
Yeah.
just show how militarized everything is, and it's all for like the greater good, like meme kind
Yeah,
of thing.
when he's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't know you were gonna be in I didn't know the Roughnecks were gonna be the
Yeah,
ones sent out there, like
yeah.
to basically see if the brain bug was there." So basically, they just died for a slight military
That's right.
advantage,
Yeah.
strategic
Mhm.
advantage. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
oh, another cheesy thing, I think is the dumbest thing, and I'm glad they like did it once and I'm guess it's just so lame. They do the flip B3, the flip 6-3 hole, their little football play where
Oh
Rico
Oh,
like
yeah.
right.
Rico like
Yes.
and I guess the play is just Rico does a somersault over three people because when she tells him to do it during the boot camp training, he just does it over three people and shoots them.
Yeah.
It's like, so that's like the play is Rico does a somersault.
He
And
never does it
I
again
was so
either.
worried that he was gonna do it against a bug, and like thankfully he
Yeah.
doesn't do it against a bug. That would be so dumb. But
That's
and
Yeah,
what
that
funny.
and
part was awesome.
what do we is there it's a trope because I feel like I've seen it in a bunch of movies,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
when like some action star or hero, what is it called? What do you call it when like a guy takes down a giant enemy? We like Luke taking down the AT-AT.
Mhm.
or Legolas,
Oh,
taking down a
the
Mumakil,
the
or
bigger they are, the harder they fall.
yeah,
Is that
well,
kind
I
of
guess,
it?
but it's like that whole idea of like one guy taking down a giant monster, or
Mhm.
like
The Knight and the
like
Dragon. It's kind of like that idea.
David and
yeah,
Goliath.
but it's
Yeah.
like it seems to be specifically like in war scenes.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't know
Yeah.
what that trope is, but
You can
it
find
I
it
feel
on
like
movie
I feel like
tropes.
I feel like I could find way more examples. Yeah, that's true. I guess I could just check movie tropes or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's kind of dumb, and I don't like it.
Oh
Like
no.
I don't know. It just seems played out. Like when I see it in a movie, it's like, all right,
Something you've seen too many times.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
can understand that.
I will
Absolutely.
say the CG of Rico on top of the bombardier beetle or whatever it is.
Yes, the
Yeah.
Tinker.
That with him, like the CG shots of him,
That was really
kinda-
good.
That looks way better than freaking Legolas slipping around the elephant.
Yeah.
That looks
Mhm.
so bad, you know. But it
Mhm.
like genuinely looked good with Rico kind of like flying around, because there are shots.
He's like blasting the shell
It's-
open.
Yeah, it's not. They don't hold those shots as long as they do with Legolas, and I mean that's the key. Like you don't have
Yeah.
to
Don't
do
show
this-
too much.
Exactly. You don't have
Your
to.
effects
like,
aren't that good. Don't show too much.
Right. So.
One thing.
No.
Oh, speaking of the scene at the because we were talking about it before, the outpost scene where they're defending the outpost against the bug invasion, which in terms of
Mhm.
action may have been one of my favorite scenes.
It's a good
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they're just blasting away at and these bugs are like crawling up the walls, and they have the gun turrets are just mowing them down. One thing that kind of bugged me about that though is the fact that like there's like 10,000 or like 100,000 bugs attacking this outpost,
Mhm.
and yet only like 2 or 3 dozen get over the wall.
Sure,
It's like,
of
why are they
course.
having
Yeah.
such a hard time?
I know.
Yeah,
But it's-
there was a lull moment where like they were I think they were trying to pull like Radchick out of like the pit because he was
Yes.
getting like chewed up, and then like but like the scene beforehand, like all like, these bugs are about to climb over the wall, and then there's like no bugs for like a
There's
solid
like 10
minute,
million
and
of
you're,
them.
and you're just like where and you're just like, well, I know why they did that, but it's like
Sure, of course.
Or like the
There's-
scene where like
yeah.
Rico and I think it's when Rico saves Carmen and they're all running out of the cave, and they run in, like the bugs are right on their tail, and they are just lighting up these bugs. Like they're
Yes.
dying.
Mhm.
They are dying by the tens
Yeah.
of hundreds.
I was like, oh,
when
they got
we've
weaker
seen, like,
somehow.
when we've seen a bug like take like 1,000 bullets, you know.
Yeah, it takes an
Yeah.
entire
That's
squad to
fine.
kill one.
It's storytelling.
I
Yeah,
do
It
like
works in service of the story.
yeah, I
dropping
do
like
like
flies.
I do like the way they kind of show how strong. I mean, before that scene, obviously, they kind of show how the bugs are really dangerous because
They got like
it takes
armor.
it takes like an entire squad of soldiers
Yeah.
to take one down, like 4
Yeah, I
guys just
remember
mowing
that.
one down.
Mhm.
So I kind of like those details. I like how there are different kinds of bugs. The ones with the bombardier beetles with the the anti-aircraft
Yeah.
the anti-aircraft technology, not
Yeah.
technology, but it's like the biology is built into them to do that, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
it's cool. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like there's like an explanation, like they've had millions of years of evolution, so it's like
Yes,
it's
they've just
pretty
been
cool.
Mhm.
I like
Yeah.
the flying ones that just like use their wings to slice.
Yes.
Slice off
heads
people's
off.
heads.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see like the general's like this. He's like, because
I
he's like
know.
doesn't want to lose
He's
his.
such a weenie, and then he just
Yeah.
like a
And then
bug just
crashes into
collides
him.
into him. He's like,
Yeah.
he's just like, oh, he just gets wiped out.
Oh, what was
Traumatized.
Rico's partner's name? What was his name?
Ace.
Ace.
Yes,
I like
Ace,
I like how like they both witness it happen, and then like Ace is like laughing.
I know they think it's funny. It's so fucked up
it is.
because he was like, I guess it's because, you know.
He was
They
a
clearly,
coward.
yeah, they clearly have respect for leadership, but nope, not when you're a coward. Then you don't
No.
deserve respect.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Radchick like punches or slaps the general in the face to be like,
Does.
"Get a hold of yourself," and he never does.
He does, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Yeah,
general's performance is fun. I wrote that down. I'm like, this guy's having fun with this role.
Yeah.
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 One thing I saw that's kind of a trope in some movies is the fire catching up to people from an explosion.
Oh yeah.
That scene in the tunnel where like after they're done mowing down all the aliens or bugs, and then the
Watson.
is it the nuke that they have?
Yeah,
Is it-
Watson
yeah.
blows himself up.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
they're running out, and you're like, okay, well obviously they're gonna make it, but like it was distracting like a couple of points where like the fire was like right on their tail, and then it would cut to like a different shot, and then the fire's like further back. I was like, okay, I know why they did that, but like obviously it didn't take away from the movie. But I was like, okay, they definitely like had to pull the fire back a little bit more so they could escape it.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
that scene once they get out of the camp, like Carmen flies in and saves them and they get out of there.
Right.
That's when they do the whole like the lieutenant's dad, Rico, you want a promotion? Yeah, they're just like
Yeah.
throwing out promotions left and right
Yeah.
Yeah.
to fill in
It's like,
spots.
yes, sir.
But he's like,
Yep.
well, he says, I'll take it
I'll take it.
until
Yeah.
I die or someone
And then you replace
you find
someone.
better.
or find someone better than me. And then like in the next scene, they have this scene with all of like the 15 to 16-year-old recruits show up.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
literal children. Like they look
Yeah.
like kids. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god. like because it and there's and I that actually goes back to a point I was gonna point out earlier. When they're going around in the shower talking about what they want to do, one woman's like, I just want to have children, and
Yes.
it's much easier to have a permit. So is there overpopulation maybe? Or
It might be an overpopulation. It might just be population
it
control.
may be like a eugenics thing.
Yeah, it might be.
So it's like hinted at there. which
yeah,
is like,
because I
it's
think
much
you
easier
need-
to get a permit or something.
Yes. Yeah, I
if
think
you're
you
a
need.
citizen.
Yes, I think
Mhm.
that's kind of
Or
the privilege.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
One of the
so
reasons why
basically
you,
the government doesn't want civilians to repopulate.
right.
They want citizens to repopulate.
Yes.
And I
Kind
actually
of fucked up.
yes.
one thing I loved is actually, despite how militarized the whole movie is and how the whole society is, you still got the main characters, mom and dad, who are like definitely against him. Like they're because like the dad's even like you need, you know, you're going to Harvard. You know, we're taking you to Harvard, and the son is obviously like, no, I want to be a citizen, and like
I
all
know,
this
it's like brainwashed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so
and he's like,
depressing.
he's like, my teacher didn't try to discourage us when he was encouraging. But like the movie, but what I love is that the movie doesn't portray the mom and the dad as like they're in the wrong here. No, the kid has to like, well, yeah, the kid has to make his own decision, of course.
Mhm.
But the parents aren't being like unreasonable here. I
No,
mean, it's
yeah.
obvious
Yeah.
that like they care, like, because like, I mean, they know how, if he's going to be an infantryman, or then like they know he's going to be like in some serious danger. So they don't
Yeah.
really come off as like unreasonable or an obstacle for the main character to get over. I mean, yeah, he's got to
Yeah.
make his own decisions, but the parents are like, parents are coming from a reasonable position as well.
And it makes it more depressing
like
when they
that.
die.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The scene is it's kind of
kinda
funny, but it's
silly.
also really sad because they're
It
like,
is. I mean,
why is it getting dark all of a
Yeah.
sudden?
Is there rain?
Yeah, that was kind of
Also
cheesy.
rain.
That was kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the scene where Carmen first pulls out of the dock. I can't watch that scene without thinking of Galaxy Quest, where he's
Oh,
trying to pull
yeah.
out and just like the captain or the Mr. Sulu character, the pilot. I can't remember the character's name in Galaxy Quest, but he's like,
Yeah.
and they're all like watching, and they're like,
Like backing away.
I can't watch that scene in Starship Troopers without thinking of Galaxy Quest.
Now I
She
didn't even
does it
notice
like
that, but that's right.
She does it like effortlessly, and that goes into
Yeah.
another point I was gonna make. Like, there's like the whole. She's like all smiles whenever she's flying. She's like, "This is my job," and
Yeah.
she's like clearly like very good at it. But by the
Yeah.
end, like when we see her flying, she's just like
Jaded.
completely like disillusioned.
Mhm.
She's like
Mhm.
she's like looking at all the wreckage around her after her, the admiral or whoever it is has
Her
been
captain.
crushed by the the captain.
Yeah.
Crushed by the door. But like she's just she goes from flying when she's flying and she's like, I'm so good at this. And then like later she's just like, this is hell. Like this is
Yeah.
literal hell. And then like and just like how Rico's like, fleet flies, MI dies, huh? But like no, the fleet is getting like they're
Yeah,
all
the fleet's
dying.
getting screwed.
Yeah.
What are you talking about,
They're-
Rico? Like shut up.
Yeah. They're just as much danger as you are.
I know, like, but that's kind of true to like how military departments view each other. Like
Yes.
how it was when I was in. It was like,
Yeah.
Marines.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you like some things about like, obviously you weren't in the army or in infantry or in the navy, so
Yeah,
like,
which is like the fleet basically.
Yeah.
yeah. So I wanted to like ask like, because there were some things in this movie that I was like, okay, obviously this wouldn't actually happen. There's like a million, or in terms of like military like
Right.
Sure.
What's
A
the
lot
thing
of
like
it's pretty
procedure?
accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's or procedure even when I'm like, let's say for instance, obviously Rico can't have a relationship with Dex,
Des or Diz, yeah.
Des, and then like
Yeah.
was there like maybe just list like maybe one or two
Well,
things
I
that like
mean,
you saw in the movie that was like that
yeah.
was not realistic for like military procedure.
The only thing that kind of bugged me, and that's only because I was in the Navy. So like
Yeah,
the
no,
fleet, the
that's
fleet
what
is
I'm
like the
asking
Navy.
for.
Yeah.
I think the Diz and Rico stuff would have been fine because he was still enlisted at that point. I don't think he had been promoted to lieutenant yet. He doesn't get promoted to an officer until the lieutenant
No,
dies because they
right,
need
Yeah.
replacements.
right.
So they would both be enlisted. Like he was like the squad leader, which would have
Hmm.
made him also enlisted. So it probably would have been fine. And clearly the lieutenant didn't care. But
Hmm.
which I want to get back to that scene because actually I have a note about that. But the only thing I noticed was it's so stupid. It's just dumb military stuff. When the captain was giving orders to Carmen as the pilot,
Mhm.
Hmm.
what's supposed to happen is you would repeat back the order, and then
Okay.
say like "I sir," but she just looks back and she's like "Yes sir," and like starts flying. But really, you would say like pull her out, blah blah blah, or whatever.
Right, yeah.
I
Mhm.
sir, or something.
Mhm.
But whatever. Maybe they changed shit, and they clearly like don't have any tactical orders or whatever. They all just charge a planet, But anyway,
That first battle, and I kind of like the detail of this too, because I was because they go down the planet. First off, they're like, oh, the bombardment, the defenses they'll be random and they should be light. Well,
yeah.
they're not random and they're not light. There's like a ton of plasma shots being fired up, and the
Oh,
ships are
yeah.
just being blown up one after the other. And then the
Yeah.
infantry get down there, and there's just like a wall of the, I almost call them Tyranids. There's a wall of the bugs that are
They are
attacking
kind of
them.
like Tyranids.
and I was thinking, I'm like, man, their like chain of command must really suck in order for this to happen.
And the Sky Marshal gets replaced.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
It goes from like one Sky Marshal who's spouting out speeches to the next Sky Marshal who's spouting out speeches. It's like, to kill the bug, we must understand the bug. Like it's just
It's like,
it's like
that's so
platitudes.
vague. That's
It
so
means
vague.
yeah, it means nothing.
Yeah.
But no, that scene where Rico and Diz are having sex in the tent, and like Lieutenant comes in and she's hiding under the sleeping bag,
Yeah.
and he goes, make it 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then like she looks at him and she goes, 20 minutes, and he goes, we can do it. And she's like, and then like just like they just
I was like, there's no way.
silly getting under the covers. Well, that moment, like their acting there just seems like them being like regular people. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like, their delivery, he's just kind of like very timidly like, well, we can do it. Like it's not like, in character at all. Like it's almost it's almost like they
improvised.
It's almost like they ad-libbed it or something. It's a nice little thing. It's like it's the one time the characters kind of break character to me at least. And it's like, that's nice.
Yeah, it was cute. I wrote that down too. I wrote down that exchange. I'm like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah. The when the ships enter into hyperspeed, it looks really. Thankfully, we only seen it once from the cockpit, but like it's just a flat image.
Everyone's like,
it just stretches. It's like that looks really bad. That's one thing I don't like. So that look good. I mean, they were trying to be different, I guess, or maybe just lazy because it looks really lazy. It's just the image just goes.
Yeah.
But
I think they wanted to be different from Star Wars.
No, I'm sure part of it was just trying to be like differentiate themselves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, kind of going back because I really like the boot camp stuff in the movie, kind of like the training and the stuff they were going through. One of my favorite exchanges is when the drill sergeant is kind of lecturing the soldiers. It's the first time, all the recruits. It's the first time in the there, and he kind of asks one of the soldiers to attack him. You think he gives him a knife or something, and he does, and he immediately breaks his arm. He like performs this like jujitsu move and breaks his arm. And the exchange is, "You all right, son?" And he goes, yes, sir. It's my arm, sir. I reckon it's broken." And he goes, "Medic!" And that's the exchange.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. I love that.
It's a good scene.
Yeah. What about the part like right after where the girls, where Dax is coming up and she's like, "I want to join this platoon."
Yeah.
And he's like, he's like, prove it. You know, like I don't think that could ever happen, but like, is that something that could be like possible? Like where like a random like
Well,
I
she was
short
being
mean,
thing come up and be
transferred.
I
like,
mean, she's already transferred.
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
I
he's just kind of
guess.
like testing her, kind of.
Yeah, I guess they were
Okay.
like trying to do some. I don't know. It was fine. You know, they're just like, whatever. I'm sure. I wouldn't be surprised if Marines do crap like that. But
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, but all the
And then like
training stuff.
afterwards, she has like that giant bruise on her neck from where he put his knee. It's like,
Yes.
okay, like she got a horrible bruise on her neck. Cool. But I mean, the continuity there is kind of cool. But it's just
Yeah,
like, jeez.
Yeah. The part where Rick or Rico is part of he becomes the squad leader, and the chaotic scene where they're doing like the training, and
Yes.
one guy he asks like some guy to take off his helmet so that he can he
Yeah.
can like examine it.
It's the guy
First of all,
who got his arm
yeah.
broken. It's
First of all, those
Breckenridge.
those helmets are so funny looking, and when the guy is like, "I can't see," I like throughout the rest of the movie, I was like, "None of them can see. It's all like over their eyes." But anyway,
Well, yeah,
go ahead.
Good. No, go
No,
ahead.
I was gonna finish it off like saying, I love like I was not expecting like him to like automatically be like obviously like almost discharged, but like just like how I was not expecting someone to like someone to basically die and get shot by their own teammate. Like I was just like that was I like I was like I got like spooked because of how like just unexpected that entire thing was, and I was like, okay, that makes sense that he would get almost discharged, but oh my gosh.
And it's almost like you can go back and watch that scene and know what's happening, and like the way throughout the whole movie they all fire their guns in different ways, and 99% of the time they're just like doing this.
Yes,
and
I
it's
know.
like it's a miracle.
Way up.
It's a miracle nobody else got blown away in boot camp with live fire training. Like they're like there's no set way they fire their guns.
No.
You do this, you do this, you do
and there's like
this.
people all around like
I know they're all just like
the
spraying. It's like
just like anyone's gonna get shot.
yeah.
What's the formation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy the part where the news anchor gets eaten and the camera guy's just like
Yes.
just like recording. He's just like we don't see his face.
Rico's
Or anything,
like,
but
Why are you
he's just
still
like,
recording?
He's just like, yeah.
Rico
I gotta get this.
grabs the camera and is like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Great.
And I love how they do like the whole 1 year earlier, and like they show like the carnage at first, and I'm just sitting back.
They showed that first.
Yeah, they
It must,
they
that
show
must have been like a decision made by like I would assume producers made that because they're like you can't just start the movie with like whatever. But
because that's actually a good point, Will. Because in RoboCop they do start with like commercials and stuff. That's just how the movie starts.
Yeah.
In this, they kind of start with that action,
and then it leads
flashback.
into the commercials, or the adverts, whatever you'd call them. They're not really.
I love.
More like
I love the addition of the commercials. I don't mean to compare it to RoboCop, but like that's exactly what
the comparison's there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because like it's the same director, of course, but like it works. Like it worked in RoboCop because it's definitely a police-driven society, and in this one right here, it's definitely a militarized society. So they talk about like they like cut to commercial breaks, and it's all like military propaganda going on, and it's just like it works there as well. So like I haven't seen a movie where it also does this and does it very poorly, but I can definitely see how it could be used very poorly in some movies. Like you get taken out of it, but in this movie and in RoboCop, like you don't get taken out of the movie despite these commercial breaks they have in between like scenes of the film.
No, yeah. If anything, it's like it elevates it for sure.
Yeah,
it adds the realism kind of.
Yeah, just like it does in RoboCop. Like I mean,
the world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What other movies has Paul Verhoeven done? Because I know he did RoboCop. I know he did this.
Let's see. Well, his big movies were like this. He did Total Recall.
Okay. That's a good movie.
Yeah, that came out 1990. He did Showgirls, which was a I it's a
Have not seen that
it's like
yet.
a cult hit. Yeah, it's considered like a cult classic now. I think it was a box office bomb. Maybe not. It got a sequel, so I don't know. But
Who knows?
I don't really know what else he's done.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's not a director I've followed really closely, but I
Yeah.
know like his
Mhm.
big movies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I wonder. I would like to see more of his movies, but yeah, those are the only two. Those are the only three that I've seen so far. And I think rating these three, I would say. I mean, obviously we're not done. I don't want to keep talking about stuff, but like rating those three movies, I would say Starship Troopers is now my favorite movie,
mhm.
followed by RoboCop, and then Total Recall. Like, not to say that Total Recall is not good. I love Total Recall, and I want to see it again. But yeah, Starship Troopers is definitely my favorite movie that he's directed.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Is Total
yeah.
Recall the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah,
And when
Okay,
that's the one
yeah.
where
he goes to
he
Mars
gets
and it's about
framed.
Yes, that's a
and it's about
fantastic
like they
movie.
put fake memories in or take away his memory or something.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
think Total Recall's great, but
Yeah, it's really
I
good.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know how I would rank it among his other movies. That'd be
Mhm.
tough. It'd be
Yeah.
tough to rank
Mhm.
those three movies for sure.
Mhm.
But
Oh yeah.
yeah. So anyway, I don't know. I mean, that's pretty much I've said all I think I want to say about the movie. I'm looking at
Yeah, I mean, I'm
my
actually
notes.
surprised how much kind of like because I was obviously taking up notes while I watched this thing frantically.
Yeah.
But I was actually
I
surprised
wasn't.
because you guys actually said you guys pointed out a lot of the things I was kind of writing down
Oh
too,
yeah.
which is probably more so
Mhm.
than RoboCop. Talked about that. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to point out is I always, even though like the bugs are kind of obviously portrayed as like savage monsters, just kind of
Mhm.
for the most part killing the humans. One thing that I found pretty disturbing was the scene when you see a gigantic swarm of the bugs, and then the ships come flying by and just start like
Mhm.
napalming the
Yeah.
entire like swarm of bugs, and they're all like
Mhm.
screaming, running away from it. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's kind of disturbing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It
It's
is.
like it was just like, oh, this is kind of like morbid.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff
I
like that.
thought I thought of oh, I think it was Platoon where they
Use
dropped
the
they dropped the napalm
yeah.
while they're trying to like escape or whatever, and it's like all slow motion. I kind of thought of that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just I, like this is clearly like a pro, a pro-war kind of movie because it's like because like the movie ends with like we'll get him like this time, like we have the brain, we know how to beat them. But there's definitely a lot of aspects of this movie where it definitely discourages this kind of thing because Rico, my favorite example is just Rico's entire like character change from like beginning of the movie to like even probably beginning to midpoint because after the midpoint he's kind of the same like I'm gonna kill these sons of bitches and whatever.
Mhm.
But just like he's kind of like goofy and like he hates that this guy's like hitting on his girl or whatever, but he's like I mean he's definitely like aggressive but not like I'm gonna kill whoever wrongs me rubs me
No,
the wrong
yeah,
way.
definitely not.
But like in the middle of the movie, you see like it's not even like his personality, but like his face is like it looks like he's got like wrinkles. He's got like bags under his eyes, and he's like talking to like I think he's talking to I guess I don't want to call him the thug, but the guy who was basically like the assistant fleet officer or something like that. What was his name?
Oh, right. What was his name? I wrote it down.
Xander?
Xander. That's
Yeah,
it.
The guy
Xander.
who Carmen gets with? Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Xander.
like they aren't like the people who are in the fleet aren't like aware of like what's going on or like how bad it actually is. And so like when Rico like confronts him like before they start, I think before or after they start like punching each other, like you can just see like he's just like his eyes are like fierce but like dead as well. So he's just like, because like he's seeing like some crap that's going on,
He's
and like
intense.
he's totally changed from what he
Yeah.
was like. Because he was like, I want to join the infantry. It's going to be so much fun, like all this kind of stuff. And then he's just like, I don't want to be. Well,
Yeah.
he's not like I don't want to be here anymore, but he's like, this is insane.
Yeah, the final turnover is obviously after Diz dies, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
he even
That's-
says at her funeral, he's like, she died for like the Federation. She died as a citizen, which is like the highest honor. And then
Yeah.
from that point on, he's just a soulless killing machine, basically.
Stone faced.
Yeah.
Stone faced entirely. I
Well,
will say,
one of them even says, one of them even like makes a remark. He goes, "Jar heads." Like the Xavier says, "Jar heads." Once like after they're done like tussling or whatever, you know, like because
Yeah.
that's what that's what infantrymen are called. You know,
Mhm.
they're called jar heads because all they know is just how to shoot and kill. That's all they know. You know, that's the stereotype at least.
Yeah.
I will say, to kind of cap off for Rico's character, I'll say that man had a jawline that would make William Joseph proud.
Yeah.
Who's
I
William
like-
Joseph?
The protagonist from Wolfenstein.
BJ Blazkowicz?
Yeah, I think that's his name.
Is his
Well,
name
I mean, I don't
is
know.
his name William Joseph? And I just think
It might have been a different game.
No,
but-
yeah, because BJ Bill
Yeah.
coming from William.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I was like, this
Because
is
his jawline is just like,
I know.
Yeah.
Mark
And his
Wahlberg.
hair is like.
Mark Wahlberg was supposedly like asked to play Rico, but he
Mhm.
turned it down, and he would. And this came out the same year as Boogie Nights,
Mhm.
so I'm guessing Mark
Oh.
Wahlberg took Boogie Nights over Starship Troopers. They also looked at Keanu Reeves to be Rico, which clearly
Oh
like.
my gosh.
But like when that confirms like what Verhoeven was going for.
Yeah.
Like, he
Yes.
was,
Pretty boy.
like if we think about those characters at the time, like even like the way Wahlberg is portrayed in Boogie Nights, like kind of like these dumb, affable guys. I don't think Wahlberg could have pulled off like the transformation. Like
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
he's just too likable.
Yeah.
Like and
Mhm.
same with Keanu Reeves. Like Keanu Reeves would try to sell being a badass, but
You would just like him too much, you know,
Yeah,
no
but
matter what he does.
Casper Van Dien pulls off being like a
Mhm.
soulless
Yeah.
psycho.
The transition
you know?
is noticeable, and it's
Yeah.
I will say that his character does kind of have an interesting arc, a
Mhm.
depressing arc, as a lot of
Yeah.
this
Mhm.
movie is very sad, despite it being kind of corny and goofy at times, which
Yeah.
is kind of like that's a juxtaposition that I actually like.
Yeah, I think it adds to it for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
and he goes to like some struggles as well, you know. I mean, like
Oh yeah.
he's at the very beginning, you know, his girlfriend gets hit on. He starts dancing with this girl who forces him to dance, even though he's very uncomfortable. Then his parents like obviously like don't want him to do this, so he's got that
Yeah.
obstacle. And then like his girlfriend gets transferred somewhere else that he doesn't know he's going to see for a long time. Then his girlfriend dumps him, and then he falls in love with another chick who then dies. Like
Yeah.
it's just like
it's kind of like he
just
loses
crap.
everything throughout the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
He just gets everything ripped away from him, and then finally it's like his humanity is ripped from him. Like it's pretty sad to like
Yeah.
he doesn't win at all. Like he just
No.
like, other than like these fake rank positions, which just mean you're going to be in more danger, more or less. But
Yeah.
This
No,
comment.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. And I'm sorry. Are we finishing this off? Because
I think we're about to wrap it up, but-
If you got more to say, go for it.
I do. There's one thing that was sticking in my mind was it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with Rico, but the fleet, obviously when they first encounter the planets, and you know these beams are being fired upwards, and they think it's random, but it's actually like the fleet commander or captain points out that like, oh, this is like, oh, they're aiming, like they know what's
Yeah.
going on, and like they're being very accurate. And then but they make it through somehow despite the clear wreckage that like with all the ships coming back to like the main base and they're all being repaired. They do it again, despite knowing that like these are coordinated attacks. So I was wondering, why would you guys like not like kind of spread out, or like there must be a different strategy, but no, they do the exact same thing again.
Yeah.
And because of that, they their own ship gets torn in half. So I don't know why like they do that same tactic again. Like why not just they're intelligent because of the previous attack. So why do the same thing again? So that kind of like I was like. Again, it didn't take me away from the movie, and I felt like I was like, "Oh my gosh, the whole ship exploded!" But like, guys, this was a possibility from the get go.
Yeah, there's
To be fair,
and then
yeah.
that kind of carries on to the way the mobile infantry performs. Like
That's true.
it's like
They
there's
rush in.
it's like this entire strategy is just overwhelm them, which is weird because they even talk about how their bugs outnumber them. So it's like, well, okay, then where's the strategy?
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah, you guys are like in Gallipoli, where it's just
Yeah.
throw all of your guys and they'll run out of ammo eventually.
yeah, it's similar to that, or like All Quiet on the Western Front or something like that. Where it's
Yeah.
just like meaningless loss of life. But
Meat
Mhm.
grinder.
and we get like some hint at a strategy where they're trying to capture the brain bug, but even then
It's the same
that
thing.
incurs a ton of loss of life
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I just posted something in the
I
in
saw.
the chat.
Yeah.
This
Oh.
was a comment that because I bought this movie on YouTube to watch it, and this was a comment I found under in the comment section, which I thought was pretty
Nice.
funny.
Oh
Nice.
yeah, historical document of the Imperial Guard's first contact with the Tyranids. That's
That's pretty
probably
fair.
accurate. Yeah.
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 That's a good comparison. It's like the Imperial Guard, although there's more like I don't know respect among the
Yeah.
soul. But yeah, that's still good. I like it.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Trying to think of anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to say. I really enjoyed this movie.
It's a great movie.
I found that the
it's so
asteroid,
good.
when the asteroid created a gravity field, when they first see it, I said that, oh wow, this movie is more realistic than Jar Jar Abrams' Star Trek, because they actually said that the asteroid has gravity. That probably would have been completely ignored.
Yeah. Oh,
J.J.
yeah. No,
Abrams movie.
I like the.
I love that detail.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
good.
I thought
It's
it was
cool.
like just some. I thought it was like just some wormhole, but no, it was a big enough
It's a
asteroid
big
that would have its
asteroid.
own.
To create
That would have its own
like
gravitational
yeah.
pull.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
That
was
was
a
cool.
great
There's no
detail. I
real
love
explanation on how the bugs are launching the
No,
asteroid,
it's just
but
good.
that's
No.
okay.
It's a detail of the movie. It works.
Yeah. Apparently, this is based on like a series of books that came out
Yeah.
in like
Yeah, I was looking
50s
online
or
and I was like,
60s or something.
yeah, I was looking online and I was like, oh my gosh, there's like a whole
Yeah,
book of this whole thing. Yeah.
I only knew that because I read the Roger Ebert review after, and he talked about how he had read the books as a kid. And he goes on in the
Yeah.
he goes on into the review to like he recognizes the satire, but overall he compares he gave the movie 2 out of 4 stars. The movie was pretty critically panned when it came out, I think, and
Really?
I don't even think it was a real box office success. It came out the same year as
Mhm.
like some other big movies, but
Mhm.
well, 97 I think is the same year as Titanic. I think.
Well, RoboCop wasn't even like that. The box office wasn't even that good either, was it?
I think
Was
it
it-
was.
It
RoboCop
was?
was a
Okay.
big hit, yeah.
Okay, I thought it was. I thought
But
it wasn't.
Starship Troopers not so much, but
Okay.
anyway. So
Okay.
all right, well, we can do ratings, right? Let me share
Yeah, for sure.
I'll share this. Where is it? Okay, we'll do this share. Okay, so let's see. I can't think of anything I don't like about this movie for the most part.
It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I need to like give it time. I would say I wouldn't give it a 5 out of 5 because the rewatchability for me is not high. Like I need
Okay.
to like put
Mhm.
some time between seeing it to like reappreciate it every time. Like I don't want to watch it again anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I'd say rewatchability gives it a 4 out of 5. And I'll say rewatchability, if that's even a word. All right. Oh, and Mark, what about you?
I would probably say 4 out of 5 as well. Yeah.
Okay. Any particular reason or just?
I think it's because some of the choices made don't make any sense.
Okay.
Some of them.
Okay, so I'll just put choices.
Just kind of
Why not?
confused you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, what's an example? Give me an example.
The fleet scene, like reusing that same tactic to. Well, I wonder if that is actually like the point, but yeah, using that
It
same
could
act,
be,
that,
but
that
I
same
could see that.
tactic,
Okay. All
and
right.
then and then rushing in, like throwing in as many humans as possible at the
Yeah.
bugs to hope
No,
to
yeah,
find.
I think there's an argument to be made that that's kind of the point, but I can see why that would be. Yeah. Okay. All right. And Matthew.
Yeah. Yes. This is hard. Are we allowed to give it a 4.5?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can give whatever you want. Yeah.
4.5 out of
Actually,
5.
you know what? No, I'm not
Oh.
going to give it a 4.5. I'm going to give it a 4 for one reason.
Okay.
In certain parts, because overall, I really like this movie. I really enjoyed a lot of it, but some of the action in certain areas kind of lulled for me.
Okay.
Where I just kind of like zoned out just a little bit because it felt very repetitive. It wasn't the entire, it wasn't all of it. It wasn't the entire movie.
No,
But
I
there were
agree with that.
certain there were certain scenes, there were certain parts that I was just kind of starting to lull in. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
Gotta put a
forgot
date.
how good
Gotta
this
put a
movie
date on
is.
it, Will.
Yeah.
What's that?
You gotta put a date on it. You can put RoboCop 1987, but
Well, I just put that because there was a remake, I think.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. There was 2014.
Yeah.
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 So anyway.
Okay, so Will, you
Will.
choose the next movie. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I already know what I'm gonna pick, and I don't think either of you have seen it, but we are gonna watch Josh and Benny Safdie's film Good Time with Robert Pattinson.
Good
Good
time.
time.
Okay.
Good Time.
Okay, I'll
yeah.
write that down.
And I think it's on Netflix, so we don't have to pay for a rental or whatever this time.
Isn't that with
Robert Pattinson is in it, and he's really the only big name. And actually, one of the directors stars in it. As Benny Safdie plays in it. It's the same directors of Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's on I think it's on Netflix. Pretty sure.
When did it come out? Just out of curiosity.
2018, I think. Let me see.
Okay.
Good time. Good times or good time?
Good Time. 2017.
Good time. Okay.
Okay.
So, and then we'll
Okay.
we'll shoot for like 2 weeks from now, like always.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
good.
That'll be that's like
Definitely
May,
not next week because next week is finals.
Yeah.
May 6th.
Yeah, no, I got stuff to do next week too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well,
All right, a lot of fun.
I'm stopping the recording.